Investigation into allegations Republicans used payoffs to hold down the black vote in the New Jersey governor's election.
We are opening an investigation into possible federal criminal violations in connection with these allegations.
Christine Todd Whitman, who won a narrow victory over James Florio, employed Ed Rollins, a crusty veteran of many political wars, to run her campaign. This week, he told reporters his operatives spread so-called walking around money among black religious leaders.
We had a substantial amount of walking around money. Somewhere in the neighborhood of $500,000. Here's how we used it. We went into black churches and we basically said to ministers who had endorsed Florio, you'd have a special project. And I think to a certain extent we suppressed their vote.
It did not happen.
When a firestorm broke over him and Whitman disowned him, Rollins changed his story. But Whitman's brother, in a post-election seminar, appeared to confirm that there was a GOP plan to hold down the vote in Democratic areas.
And that is where a lot of our effort went and a lot of our planning, getting out the vote on one side and voters and keeping the vote light in other areas.
No ministers have stepped forward to say they were offered GOP money, but one gave second-hand evidence.
I received a phone call from a clergyman from North Jersey informing me that 5 or 6 pastors had come forth acknowledging they had been approached.
While the criminal investigation gets rolling, the Democrats have opened a second legal front. On Monday, they'll ask a federal judge to force Rollins to testify under oath on what happened. A prospect one Republican termed awful. Eric Engberg, CBS News, Washington.
Federal investigators, meanwhile, are also checking whether dirty tactics were used against Democrat David Dinkins, who was defeated in the New York City mayor's race. CBS News has been told that one matter being investigated, this is in the New York City mayor's race, is whether off-duty policemen at some polling places singled out Hispanic voters for questioning about their citizenship.
A key player in the political dirty tricks and lawbreaking known as Watergate died today. H.R. Bob Haldeman died of cancer at home in California. Haldeman was an advertising man when he first met Richard Nixon in the 1950s. He became one of Mr. Nixon's most trusted campaign aides. In the Nixon White House, Haldeman was one of the Palace Guard, controlling access and carrying out orders. In 1975, he was convicted of conspiracy to obstruct justice and of lying to Congress and the FBI about the Watergate crimes that eventually forced President Nixon himself to resign in disgrace. Years later, Haldeman said of Watergate, morally and legally, it was the wrong thing to do, so it should have failed. H.R. Haldeman was 67. Autopsy results in tonight from Los Angeles on the death of 23-year-old actor River Phoenix 2 weeks ago. The coroner says it was a mass drug overdose, including extremely high levels of cocaine and heroin. Also found traces of marijuana, the sedative Valium, and an over-the-counter cold medication. The Roman Catholic Church in America was rocked today by charges of scandal against one of its most prominent leaders and reformers. The accused is a cardinal, the head of the second-largest archdiocese in America. The charge is sexual abuse of a child nearly 20 years ago. Correspondent Frank Courier reports from Chicago.
Chicago's Roman Catholic Cardinal Joseph Bernardine is today denying allegations he sexually abused a teenage boy in the mid-1970s.
I'm 65 years old, and I can tell you that all my life I have lived a chaste and celibate life.
The Cardinal's response to a $10 million federal lawsuit filed today by 34-year-old Stephen Cook, seen here in an old yearbook photo, who alleges Bernardine and another priest abused him during Cook's study at this seminary in Cincinnati.
We think this is a matter that should be tried in the courts and not in the media.
At the time, Bernardine was Archbishop of Cincinnati. Lawyers for the plaintiff say Cook, now an AIDS patient living near Philadelphia, waited 18 years to file suit because he claims he only recently began recalling details.
This is a case about abuse of power, corruption, and sexual abuse.
The complaint alleges Cook was constantly and continuously subjected to child abuse. Specifically, the suit says Bernardine fondled and sodomized Cook. Today, the Cardinal says he cannot remember ever meeting his accuser.
It leaves me in a state of bewilderment. I can't judge the motivation of this man. All I can say is that I am not guilty of what he alleges. I can say that with total confidence.
As spiritual leader of more than 2 million Catholics here in the nation's second largest archdiocese, Bernardine is the highest-ranking American Catholic clergyman ever accused of sexual misconduct. His parishioners are reacting in disbelief.
I don't think there's any substance to the allegations at this time.
Personally, I don't think he would do something like that now.
We all make mistakes, but we hope it's not true.
With Cook's attorneys insisting they have evidence to support all allegations, Cardinal Bernardine says he will not step down and has referred his case to an independent group which ironically he set up to investigate sex abuse allegations against other priests. Frank Turrier, CBS News, Chicago.
President Clinton turned his attention to the Middle East today, reassuring Yitzhak Rabin that the United States is committed to the security of Israel. Rabin said he's committed to carrying out the peace agreement with the PLO, but he expects an equal commitment from the other side. CBS News White House correspondent Rita Braver reports.
It was Prime Minister Rabin's first visit to the White House since the historic signing of the peace accord with the PLO. But the atmosphere was far more tense today. In the wake of reports a PLO faction was responsible for the recent killing of a Jewish settler on the West Bank. Rabin demanded that PLO leader Yasser Arafat publicly condemn the attack.
He committed himself to renounce and reject terrorism.
And President Clinton took a hard line, too, saying that Arafat is duty-bound to denounce the killing.
I think we all recognize that he may not have total control over everyone who acts in the name of Fatah, but he is now bound by the terms, the clear terms of the agreement, to condemn it.
But neither Mr. Clinton nor Mr. Rabin would discuss speculation that if Arafat does not speak out, the pullout of Israeli troops from occupied territories could be delayed. The president promised Israel continued economic and security assistance, and government sources tell CBS News that means the administration could permit Israel to obtain America's most advanced fighter bomber jet, the F-15E, which has never before been available to another country.
Mr. President, in return home stronger in many aspects, more confident in our ability to reach peace.
President Clinton made no promises on another thorny issue, Rabin's request for the release of Jonathan Pollard, a U.S. citizen serving a life sentence for spying on this country for Israel. And perhaps most important, both President Clinton and Prime Minister Rabin expressed hope that there will soon be Israeli peace agreements with Syria, Jordan, and Lebanon. Rita Braver, CBS News at the White House.
Straight ahead on tonight's CBS Evening News, retailers cashing in on a consumer spending spree.
And Eye on America. Tonight, a model health care system and why it may not be what the doctor ordered.
Presto has a great idea.
Shoot some slices, shoot some shreds, shoot some salad, salad shooter.
Now, Presto has a great big idea. Professional salad shooter slicer shredder. Big capacity, holds a lot, shoots a lot. Powerful, fast, a variety of cutting blades so you can point and slice thick, slice thin, shred right into the bowl, even ripple cut. Chop, grate right where you want. Clean up easy, dishwasher safe, store anywhere.
Salad shooter.
Original, cordless, now professional salad shooter.
Watch how fast Dristan nasal spray works.
What do you smell?
I smelled something. I don't know what it was.
Use Dristan nasal spray. Now smell.
That's an orange. Dristan nasal spray worked fast.
Dristan nasal spray. Fast, effective relief.
For a touch of arthritis pain, my husband takes Advil. Doctors recommend Advil most for minor arthritis pain, and it's gentler on his stomach than aspirin. He says Advil lets him get back to doing what he loves. Advil, advanced medicine for pain.
American consumers went shopping last month like there was no tomorrow. But will they still feel like spending during the coming gift-giving season? The answer could make or break many a retailer, as we hear from economics correspondent Ray Brady.
They're out buying, but will it last through Christmas? In figures out today, Americans were buying cars and other items at the fastest rate in 6 months, sending retail sales last month up a fast-paced 1.5%.
They feel a little better. They have a little extra money as a result of the drop in interest rates, and they're taking advantage of it.
In Christmas 1992, Santa really came to the stores, with cash registers ringing like jingle bells. But this year?
I think Santa is going to look like he's been going to Weight Watchers compared to last year.
Some analysts say consumers will not have the money to keep spending. Still, retailers are gearing up for what they hope will be a Merry Christmas.
Time for holiday shopping again, and oh, the madness.
Catalogs are already taking to the airwaves. In Kinston, North Carolina, they're decking the streets, and in toy stores, baby boomers are buying for their babies.
The baby boom generation toys, all the toys that our generation played with when we were kids, are what's hot this year.
And there may be bargains this season.
Cashmere sweaters are a great buy. They're around $100 retail, and they used to be 4 and 5 times that. And children's apparel will be almost given away by stores that have lots of leftover merchandise from the back-to-school season.
Stores may have a big stake in Christmas, but so do all Americans, because heavy holiday buying could give the economy a strong push right into the new year. Ray Brady, CBS News, New York.
U.S. tobacco companies are going global, trying to make up for falling cigarette sales here by hawking them abroad. That's good news for the U.S. economy, but critics contend it is bad for the world's health. They also charge the U.S. government is helping U.S. tobacco companies to butt into foreign markets, especially in Asia. Our Tokyo correspondent James Hattori has more.
For American tobacco companies, Asia is literally a lucky strike, one of the few regions where consumption is increasing. China alone has 300 million smokers. With taxes and cigarette bans on the rise at home, exports are just the fix.
And the market's there for the taking, and it's a gigantic export for the United States already.
But it's ignited a fiery controversy. Critics say the U.S. government forced open Asian markets for American cigarettes, despite evidence linking smoking to cancer and other diseases.
America's biggest tobacco producers, R.J. Reynolds and Philip Morris, refused to talk to us about sales in Asia, saying it's simply a part of everyday business. But medical experts say it's ethically wrong for the U.S. to promote use of a toxic product abroad while discouraging its use at home.
I don't like to use the word, but of course, ugly Americans. That image is now coming up.
Cancer rates are going up in much of Asia. According to one prediction, smoking in developing countries will soon kill 1 million people a year. A grim reality lost in the barrage of slick advertising, which implies anyone can smoke their way to a better life with American cigarettes.
They exported from here disease, disability, and death to third world countries that could ill afford that kind of a gift from this country.
It isn't just the U.S. Critics say Asian governments are addicted to tax revenues from cigarette sales. Still, the U.S. turns a blind eye to the health issue, viewing tobacco exports simply as a matter of profit and loss. But the most tragic losses don't show up on a balance sheet. James Hattori, CBS News, Tokyo.
Stay with us for much more CBS Evening News, including the Attorney General coming under fire from her boss to toughen up.
When I decided to fix my porch myself,
I couldn't quite believe it.
So, who comes to the rescue?
Well, handy he's not. And since when did you get all this energy?
Ever since you got me started on breakfast with grape nuts. It's like you said, this box is full of great mornings.
Look, it's right here. Fat-free, natural energy source. I said try it a few mornings.
And I did. And it does help keep me going. You know, Dad, I think I have inherited your handiness.
Yeah, I think you inherited my toolkit. That's what he's got.
Post Grape Nut cereal helps keep you going strong all morning long.
You build a new razor with precision heads to shave below the skin in comfort. And what do you get? Cut a precision groove to help the Norelco lift and cut system shave even closer. And what do you get? Build a razor that shaves closer, smoother than ever before. And what do you get? The new Norelco razors, our closest shave ever.
Want the inside story on me, George Brett? With minor arthritis pain like mine, I need Ultra Strength Bengay. It's the only one with 3 pain relievers. And besides, doctors recommend Bengay the most. Ultra Strength Bengay, nothing stronger.
How do you give low-saturated fat oils like canola a different taste? Add corn oil.
Only Mazola Right Blend blends the leading corn oil with canola, with 1 gram of saturated fat per serving.
Blend good taste into your healthy cooking with Mazola Right Blend.
Is their 60 Minutes anniversary show really as good as the critics say it is? See for yourself when the best 1 hour in television becomes the best 2 hours in television. Sunday.
The Justice Department tonight is playing down talk of growing tension between President Clinton and U.S. Attorney General Janet Reno. This follows what some see as the latest possible evidence of a rift. President Clinton's having to order the Attorney General to crack down harder on child pornography. Correspondent Linda Douglas has the story.
Determined to be seen as tough on crime, President Clinton has ordered Attorney General Janet Reno to get a little tougher herself. In the face of a dispute between the Senate and the Justice Department over what constitutes child pornography, Mr. Clinton sent Reno a blunt letter saying, "I fully agree with the Senate about what the proper scope of the child pornography law should be." Last week, the Senate unanimously condemned the Justice Department's handling of a recent child pornography case as too lenient.
The Justice Department's view of the statute, however, would create a safe harbor for child pornographers and for pedophiles.
The case in question involves videotapes of young girls in underwear or leotards while the camera zooms in on their genitals. Lower courts ruled the tapes violated the Child Pornography Act, but the Justice Department disagreed. Reversing an earlier position, it told the Supreme Court the pornography law applies only to pictures of sexually explicit behavior when children's genitals are visible. Without directly criticizing the Justice Department, Mr. Clinton in his letter ordered Reno to immediately draft legislation strengthening the law. Reno insisted today that the president's letter was not a rebuke.
I think the tone of the letter, as I read it, was he hates child pornography, I hate child pornography, and we want to make sure that we do everything we can to stem it.
This is only the latest example of bumpy relations between Reno and the White House. Reno has publicly disagreed with the president over some of his appointments and policies, causing some in the White House to complain that the president's most popular cabinet member is also his most troublesome. Linda Douglas, CBS News, the Justice Department.
Still to come on tonight's CBS Evening News, a small town finally putting to rest some lost history and painful memories.
Start fresh and get a whole other kind of chip.
Chip Shot.
Presto Chip Shot potato chipper. Slices so thin they gotta be crisp. Regular or ripple cut. Fry them up or even microwave for a light, no-fat chip.
Chip Shot.
Perfect Chip Shot slices. Flavor them up for the taste you want. Clean up easy. Dishwasher safe.
Chip Shot.
Crisp, light, delicious. A whole other kind of chip. Chip Shot potato chipper.
Chip Shot.
From Presto.
So at Jenny's school play, I get this cough. Somebody handed me these Robitussin cough drops. They worked right away, and I could feel those vapors. Robitussin took the spotlight off me and put it where it belonged.
Robitussin cough drops from the cough experts.
There are lots of firsts in life where First Interstate Bank just can't help you. But there are firsts where First Interstate can be a big help, like helping you fulfill a dream. Then we'll do everything possible to make it come true. And because there's so many times when no one can help you, when it comes to banking, come to First Interstate Bank and we'll go out of our way to help you, as long as we can.
I shampoo for dandruff, but my scalp still itches.
Now there's Scalpicin for deep scalp itch, not ordinary dandruff. It's clear liquid, not shampoo. With itch medicine, dermatologists chose over these dandruff shampoo formulas.
The itch is gone.
Scalpicin.
In her first major competition this season prior to the Olympics, American champion Nancy Kerrigan competes in the ladies' final at Pirouetland Saturday on CBS.
The government today dropped all charges of scientific misconduct against a leading U.S. AIDS researcher. Dr. Robert Gallo had been found guilty by a review panel of hogging credit for discovering the AIDS virus and not giving enough credit to French researchers. But today, the U.S. government said misconduct would be extremely difficult to prove and dismissed the case against Gallo.
The remains of hundreds of people are at long last back where they belong tonight, underground. They had been ripped from the earth during the Midwest floods of last July. Correspondent Scott Pelley reports from a small Missouri town that has rediscovered a measure of peace.
Today, Hardin, Missouri put to rest one of the saddest episodes of the Great Flood of '93. The last earth finally closed the mass grave of what the town calls the unknowns.
It's been a long 3.5 months, and we're finally getting these people laid to rest properly, and it was just overwhelming to me.
Overwhelming. Nearly 500 vaults holding the remains of those who could not be identified after the Hardin Cemetery washed out in July. Another 100 were never found. In all, 700 graves were washed away and scattered for miles by the Missouri River.
I had a very hard time with it. It hurt a lot. Yeah.
Jonna Dersler's parents, grandmother, and aunt all vanished. Only her parents have been found.
I probably, some ways, mourned even more this time.
For the town, almost 2 centuries of history are gone. Hardin didn't give up its history easily. Teams from the FBI, the military, even anthropologists from the Smithsonian Institution were called in to try to identify the dead. So far, more than $500,000 has been spent on the cemetery project. Families brought records that led to the identities of more than 100 loved ones.
It's all over again, only worse. You just gonna put them to rest again.
For others, there will be no rest. They may never know whether their families are part of the mass grave. In Hardin, the flood is a disaster so complete, it even swept away the memories. Scott Pelley, CBS News, Hardin, Missouri.
I was blown away when my dentist told me I had tartar. Doctor, I said, I use regular baking soda toothpaste. My teeth feel clean. Jakey said, it's not enough. Use new Tartar Control Crest with baking soda, and your teeth will be cleaner.
Now you can get the clean feeling of baking soda and proven tartar control from Crest in a toothpaste that prevents tartar better than regular baking soda toothpaste.
So I brushed with Tartar Control Crest with baking soda, and my next visit's great. I finally cleaned up my act.
A smart choice from the Dentist's Choice.
It's a different kind of V8 vegetable juice.
With the picante. What's a picante? It's got punch.
I taste wild Mexican spices.
What?
It's a very zippy drink.
It looks like a new kind of Tylenol.
It seems to be pretty strong medicine.
It really makes you feel better.
Oh, good. Something easier to swallow.
It does look high-tech.
Introducing extra-strength Tylenol gel tabs. All the power of extra-strength Tylenol, made with an innovative patented gel coat technology. They work hard on your toughest pain.
It worked fast for me.
They did the trick. I went bowling last night.
Tylenol gel tabs, the newest form of pain relief.
The gel tabs were strong enough to take my pain away.
Got rid of my aches and pain.
That's why we're standing here talking to you.
Her name is Sarah, and she's lucky, because today she'll encounter egrets doing dances and alligators in the wild. She'll see how other moms take care of their kids, and she'll be doing this, recycling, through a program of the National Park Service and its recycling partner, Dow.
We can make a difference in what tomorrow brings.
Together with the National Park Service and folks like Sarah.
Dow lets you do great things.
Day after day, you make those glasses of thick Metamucil disappear. Why not make them all disappear with FiberCon? Doctor-recommended FiberCon gives you the same fiber regularity in tablets.
Easy to swallow tablets.
Get doctor-recommended FiberCon.
As healthcare reform for America is being debated, some experts are gazing northward for inspiration. They say Canada's system works so well, why don't we just copy it here? Well, it turns out Canada's system is in failing health. Is there a lesson here for us? Correspondent Bob Fall reports tonight's Eye on America.
I have to do some blood work today. You're here for pre-op test? Okay.
Canadians can go to the doctor whenever they want and never get a bill.
Just take this card.
So why are Canadians complaining?
On weekends and at nights when there's no doctors, you gotta wait 4, 5, 6 hours sometimes to get in.
There are always people lying out in the halls. The emergency rooms are piled up with people waiting to be admitted.
Despite a population of 150,000, rural Sudbury in northern Ontario is so short of medical specialists that when Oscar Bernier broke his leg this summer, he had to make a painful flight all the way to Toronto to get care, enraging his mother.
Why isn't there a physician here working? And why are you spending $3,000 and $4,000 to fly him all over the place to get the care that he should be getting here? I live here. I want the care here.
It's all very subtle. The patient doesn't realize they're being rationed, but this is rationing of care, really. How are you today?
Fine.
Good.
And doctors like Jack Hollingsworth say the government is making things even worse by interfering and setting limits on how much doctors can make. Ontario's Health Minister Ruth Greer counters that doctors are a big part of the problem.
And I have certainly heard stories of a doctor who goes into a senior citizens building, knocks on the door of every apartment and says, "Hello, Mr. Jones, how are you today? I'm glad you're feeling better," and has just made a house call.
Experts agree consumers abuse the system. One study shows Canadians go to the doctors 30% more than Americans, often for the common cold. Result, Canada, mired in a recession, has a healthcare system that is hemorrhaging money, and which health economist Jane Fulton argues has to change.
Our eyes were big, we overate, and so we have to take money out of the things that don't make a difference and put them someplace else.
Polls here show the overwhelming majority of Canadians cherish their healthcare system and don't want to change it. But the notion that medicine is a giant candy store where you come as often as you'd like and eat as much as you want, Canada is finding that's a notion it can no longer afford.
The system can no longer afford to pay for everything your heart desires in the way of services a doctor is trained to provide to you.
So across Canada, a system which has been generous for 30 years is being pared down. Saskatchewan is closing 52 hospitals. Sudbury has shut down this wing. Some drugs which used to be free aren't free anymore.
Do you want to listen to that one?
Can you hear it?
Yeah.
Ontario has decided to train fewer doctors, instead use more nurses and midwives.
The challenge is, how do we change the ground rules? How do we rethink what's important so we know what we can do without?
Insurance companies are now vying to provide services which governments will no longer cover. One major politician even told Canadian voters recently they ought to pay for other services. Our lesson for Mr. Clinton, said one doctor, is that you cannot provide infinite health care for everyone with finite tax dollars. There have to be limits. In Toronto, this is Bob Fall for Eye on America.
And that's part of our world tonight. Bob Schieffer will have the news for you tomorrow. Don't forget a special edition of 60 Minutes on Sunday. Connie and I will see you here again Monday.
And for all of us at CBS News, thank you for joining us and have a great weekend. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
CBS News. How safe is the chicken you eat? Over 1 million Americans are poisoned each year by unsafe poultry.
You shouldn't have to treat a product that says inspected for wholesomeness like a